Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are here for our Spotlight series with my friend Josh Perry. Josh is in Apex along with me. That's where we met, and we're going to talk about his company, Italian Hemp Foods. So, Josh, give us a little bit of rundown, first off, about you. Introduce yourself.
So I live in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Um, I have three boys, and I'm a serial entrepreneur that just dove into doing authentic stuff and strove to be myself more than fit the status quo throughout my life.
Nice. When did you realize that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Like, what was that exact moment?
I guess way too late is the answer for that.
Okay.
Really, I became an entrepreneur out of desperation in a way. I grew up in a very poor household. My parents were both in the military, so we traveled around a lot, and I'm constantly having to make new friends and stuff like that. So I became an exceptional networker through that. And then, look, just to be transparent, I fell into drugs at one point, and that's kind of where my entrepreneurial journey began. And I was able to claw my way out of the trenches to give up that life of, illegal activity and become, a legitimate businessman and push, good ideas out into the world.
So you went from street pharmacist to legitimate businessman. Like
Yeah.
some of us do.
Yeah. I've sold a little bit of everything is the way I like to say it.
Okay.
When I was in the window business, we used to joke that we had the whitest white in the town because, we're selling white windows. But yeah, man, it was a hard climb, but feels good here today.
Nice. What made it difficult starting up and making that transition?
Man, just, the community I'm from in Arkansas, there just wasn't a lot of opportunity there. I graduated high school with a class of 46 after traveling the world, basically, as a kid throughout my parents' military career. And so I had all this scope of experience, but it didn't seem there was opportunity. And it's so funny now that on the other side of that, it's like opportunity is everywhere. It's a lot about mindset and just basically believing that you can do whatever the crazy idea is that you've got to do. Like you, for instance, John, I mean, you sell money, it's like, I don't think any kid grows up and says, hey, I want to sell money, or, hey, I want to sell pasta or whatever. But if you put the drive and determination behind it, and it's something you enjoy doing and feel fulfilled by it, like, who cares if it's, picking up dumpsters of trash, or if it's, selling diamonds or whatever, it's all about the individual and the impact you can make on the market.
I agree 100%. I mean, yeah, I sell money, but really I sell growth. Money is a tool.
Yeah.
I help people use a tool to grow their business, support their business, and make a bigger impact in their communities, right? So I'm with you, and I definitely did not think for 1 second that this is where I would be, or this is what I would be doing when I was a kid. So I get that 1,000%.
Well, and I kind of went from like thinking I was going to be dead at 21, like a lot of my other people that I hung out with during that time. Most of my old school homies are either dead, in jail, or addicted to drugs. Yeah. And so, changing my mindset to now, I think about, damn, in 20 years, this is going to be super cool if I just keep plugging away today. Or, we did a filming for Italian Hemp Foods today at Art Ventures, where I'm sitting right now in a museum. And I even think about, like, what would my 21-year-old self think about, 40-year-old Josh Perry filming a product shot in a museum for his international business. Nice. It's like, that's, you can make your past and your future self proud of yourself, then, you're doing something right.
Absolutely. So I gotta ask because that's a very, very like everyone says there's riches and niches, okay, and that
Mhm.
is an absolute niche. So, and Perry doesn't seem Italian.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So, and I got a lot of questions here. One,
Yeah.
when did you start
So,
Italian hemp food?
man, it's kind of a funny story how I landed in Italian hemp foods, and it goes back even to my seedy past. Like I had this drug dealer buddy. He dealt weed, and he told me one day that he wanted to go legit and
Mhm.
start a CBD company and move to California and all this stuff. And I was basically the only legitimate businessman he knew at the time, and so I started doing some research on it because I just didn't have any experience in the CBD market. I've ran and grown and scaled several different businesses, but so long story short, I go on this kind of exploratory journey of CBD, and I bump into this guy who's got a hemp cheese, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like that could be really neat, right? And I reach out to the guy on LinkedIn and start talking to him. Fast forward 8, 9 months later, we've had, 30 or 40 Zoom calls, lots of conversations about what he's doing with Italian hemp foods, and he offers me a majority stake in the company for handling the logistics. I also run a logistics company, and so I was from, in his words, the person he was looking for,
Okay.
because he had already, and we get really kind of almost neurotic, or with the supply chain stuff, because we actually bring the wheat from the farm in Italy to the factory, as well as the hemp flower to from the farm to the factory. And he worked over 4.5 years on this recipe, and then just needed a vehicle to put it in the United States, essentially. And I do a lot of business in the food sector and already with my freight brokerage and stuff, and I was, like I said, just the right person. So we took it from there. He sent me, some samples. I tried it. It's amazing. You guys should definitely try it. Um, and so we set upon building out the infrastructure of the company. There were some financial challenges as far as international transfers and, like, taxes, and do we have one company or two companies, or
Yep.
how all that stuff worked that we had to figure out. And now today we're in talks with US Foods to launch in 72 US markets. We're in talks with another large food service company, Benny Keith, and we're vertically integrating across several events across the nation, and having vending booths there, and really getting the word out about it. And then again today we're filming and doing photo and product shots at a museum here in a beautiful kitchen, and fixing to launch the website and everything to put it more B2C facing and get more exposure in that regard. So
Cool. So talk to me. Is it going in the sauce? Is it going in the cheese? Where's this hemp go?
so our primary, like, beachhead product is a pasta. We have pretty much any shape of pasta you can think of: linguine, penne, spaghetti, just all of the shapes essentially. And then we also have a sauce line that's coming out, as well as a pizza crust, and we've got cheese, of course, as I mentioned earlier. Just your traditional Italian stuff. We're in talks, working through a recipe for a bread as well, but we'll see, kind of deal.
Got it. And what are the benefits of having the hemp in the Italian food?
So glad you asked. There's so many benefits, and I myself have had a gallbladder surgery, so if I eat a big heavy plate of pasta, there's kind of some consequences there a lot of times. But hemp is actually the number 2 non-animal source of protein under spirulina in the world. And then in addition to that, your body already has an endocannabinoid system in it just naturally. And so it's very, very easy to process through your body. And, you don't get that weighed down heavy feeling. In addition to, you could cook a typical plate of drum semolina pasta and put chicken in it, and cook, Italian hemp pasta with no chicken, same recipe, and it would actually have more protein in our pasta without chicken. And so, for vegan options, it is very, very beneficial to have that amount of protein in a vegan meal.
I had no idea. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
And that's all soluble, just as good as meat protein?
Yes. In fact, more so, because you naturally have an endocannabinoid system. And so it's soluble in your gut and gut health speaking, much easier than an animal product.
That's cool. So last question on the actual product itself, because I like marijuana a lot. I don't talk about it, but we all know sometimes in edibles, or if you cook with it, you get a certain taste.
Yeah. That's actually one of the reasons I was so excited about it when I did get the opportunity to try it, because that is a very common thing that you find in all this stuff, is that it just tastes like you're chewing on a weed leaf.
Yep.
This is not that. It does have a nutty flavor, more like a wheat pasta would. Okay. But there is not that distinct hempy marijuana flavor to this pasta. It is it's just different, man. And it's a little bit of a different flavor that takes some people, just like anything else, just like a wheat pasta would be, but it is not punch you in the face. You know what I mean? Like very prominent. You just smoked a blunt with Juicy J or something, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. So let's dig in to some of those challenges up front, right? You said you had some financial challenges. What were those like, and how did you solve them?
Man, so dealing with two different countries' sets of banking laws and trying to navigate what bank was going to be able to handle those transfers it took us almost a year and a half to figure out and navigate, because there really isn't there isn't necessarily a playbook for that. And in particular, you have to be conscious of Italy and the United States have a history of importing and those companies doing other things that are not related to importing. Yep. And so there was some challenges there that we wanted to just make sure everything was lined out to where we don't have shipments getting stuck at the border, customs saying, oh, you can't have this, or, duties and fees being increased on us at the last minute and stuff like that, because that's the kind of stuff that'll sink a business ultimately. Yeah. And if you don't look out for those pitfalls on the front end, you're going to fall back in the shit on the back end, basically. And so, man, I just took a bajillion calls from banks and brokers and people in Italy and stuff, until we finally figured out that found a bank that has locations in Rome as well as in the United States. And so, there's still technically, even within the bank, there's crossing this international line. Yep. As far as the transfers go. But it made a lot more sense to have two people with the same, ending of their email than it did having one guy who speaks Italian and one guy who's from Arkansas. You know what I mean? Try to figure out what the hell the other one's talking about when we're trying to cross the border and bring something in Miami, right? So it's like, those kinds of challenges were really just honestly out of my scope of knowledge at the time. But I knew that fighting through those challenges would also bring me the knowledge that would secure the future of our business as well, that avoided certain pitfalls essentially.
So that's something I do want to highlight, because a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs or a lot of business owners, when things get difficult or there's a hard problem, right, or difficult challenge, most people stop, right? And when you have that hard challenge, right, that is macro. When I say macro, I mean, it doesn't matter who would set it up, they would run into the same challenge that you
Yep.
faced. It creates a barrier of entry. And that barrier of entry, once you get through it, means there's a hell of a lot less competition. And like you said, now you have a skill. That skill is, all right, I can do business internationally, at least between these two countries. Now you have a roadmap to duplicate that. So there's a lot of power in doing that, sticking with it, following that. I commend you for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you know, there's still more to push along with that even. And you're right about that barrier of entry. It can almost act like a trampoline that you bounce on once you bounce through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you may have to get back down to basics on some things, but you're going to continue to just skyrocket each time you have to do that. And you won't go back through that barrier on the bottom end because now you got that skill. But, you know, we're looking at launching in Europe as well. I'm actually a dual citizen. I was born in the UK. And so, you know, all the pasta in the world, or a very large percentage, comes from Italy. And so we're not really looking at it as a singular thing. Just, you know, popular culture in America allows for other countries to catch on, you know, it follow suit essentially. Yeah. And so having faced that in the United States already, where it was exceedingly difficult, we see that those same type of import challenges and financial banking type challenges throughout Europe and throughout Asia they'll have less of a sting, I guess, is the best way to put it. Not to say that there won't be challenges there too, and, you know, different governments and tariffs and fees and keeping track of all that shit, but it definitely, you got part of the roadmap written, it's easier to find the trail.
Nice. Very nice. That's awesome. That's a very unique situation. Not too many people actually have to dive into to figure out. What were some of the other challenges that you guys have faced getting everything going?
Shitty partners. We had all these people who loved it and said they wanted to be, you know, a part of it and sell it and help distribute it and all this other stuff. And then, you know, come down to it, it was more like, well, how much pasta can you send me? And we're like, as much as you can sell, bro, you know? Yeah. And they're like, oh no, I need some samples, And we're like, well, you already ate your samples. Like, you were supposed to use that for what it was supposed to be, not, you know, your own personal use. And so we spent a lot of money on samples and shipping fees, especially from Italy and stuff. I mean, just a lot of time and a lot of money invested in the wrong people. And we were lucky to really partner up and have some great partnerships with Art Ventures here in Fayetteville, who's letting us use their kitchen and their museum today, and Lens Audio, who did all the filming for us, and some other vendors and stuff. And then, you know, even other customers of my logistics company that I would just send samples to, you know, not as a salesperson, but as a gift. And they're reaching out, telling people about it too. But definitely, man, you know, people who don't hold to their word can make building a business very difficult. And I'll be honest, there was one point where, you know, I did want to give up, because we had about 11 people that we had sent samples to, and not near one of them sold any pasta at all. And it was just like, man, we just spent all this money, you know, thousands of dollars on shipping and pasta and all this stuff. And then it just, you know, it kind of seemed like it flopped. But what was really happening is it was just half committed people that really didn't see the vision of what we were trying to do, and were just trying to take advantage of and enjoy a great product and not have to pay for it, essentially. So, Yeah.
Yeah.
It was discouraging, but not unbeatable.
Yeah, I mean, people are a company's greatest asset, or they can be their greatest liability.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a
and
true story.
yeah, it's all about core values and do they see the vision? Do they share the same values, and do they live their life by those values? And I see that more and more. And one of the biggest mistakes I've made has been partnerships. Right? I won't.
Yeah.
It's almost next to impossible to even for me to consider taking on a partner on anything. Won't do it unless
Well,
you're and you're a proven track record of one of my existing partners.
yeah, and our core partnership is really, really strong, and that's what kind of helped me to persevere too. Is my partner Roberto in Italy
Mhm.
is a phenomenal guy. He's really smart, just very positive person, and his family has been in the wine business for 6 or 7 generations in Italy, and having that kind of really core, you know, I don't want to just call it partner because it's more than that at this point, but that core other person that you can lean on, especially
Yeah.
in the dynamic of our business, was so key to keeping us both going. Because when I came in the business for him, I was that person who brought the logistical knowledge and had the connections with the right food industry people and all this stuff. And then when we had this kind of horrible, shitty people run, it was like he was the one propping me up to not be discouraged and that we would find the right people. And, he looked 4.5, 5 years for me and finally found me. So why was I going to give up after 7, 8 months of, kicking the ball down the road? And so those core partnerships are, like you said, man, people can be your greatest asset or they can be your biggest detriment.
Yep, absolutely. So, moving, is this the company that you are most excited about with between all the companies that you have?
Um, yes and no. Most people find my most exciting company the entertainment side because we deal with a lot of A-list celebrities and throw these big huge concerts that are thousands of people all across the nation and stuff. But I'm really, and John, you probably experienced this too, man. It's like you get to a certain point of success and you don't, like, if you're after the money, you're after the wrong thing, really. And so I'm one of these guys who just kind of impact is my thing.
Yep.
And so that's why I say yes, because I think the impact of Italian hemp foods on the health of the American people, and even when we move into Europe and stuff, is a game changer, man. Because I've been guilty of, especially when I was on the road, just eating trash all the time, McDonald's, Starbucks coffees, and whatever other kind of bullshit happened to be available just within proximity of me being hungry, essentially.
Uh-huh.
And so as I become older and become more intentional about what I put in my body and what I choose to participate in or align with, something like this, that a vegan can have more protein and enjoy a pasta that they normally wouldn't. And we're not gluten free, but we've had several people with celiac disease be able to enjoy it at various different levels. And, that's a disclaimer, not, shouldn't try it if you don't feel comfortable with that or whatever. But, it's just really good for people. It makes people feel good. And the conversations it starts about hemp and its benefits and stuff has a bigger impact too, because there's a lot of, especially governments and states and even federally, that kind of frown on what they did with the Farm Bill.
Yeah.
But there's the other side of that is this very useful, nutritious, just phenomenal plant that can benefit humankind quite a bit.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. I think most of the food, especially stateside, is very low in nutrition, and that's a problem. You can see it if you go. People that go to Europe, you see that everyone is in much better shape than most people here, and they don't work out nearly as much. It's just how the food is produced.
Yep.
Way less preservatives, way less shit in the food, just a cleaner way to eat, and they eat a lot more than we do on, sometimes.
Well, like I say, man, we're so nerdy with the supply chain stuff. We actually bring the wheat from the farm to the factory. We have a specific sativa strain of hemp that is grown for the protein in the seed that we mill the flour for the hemp out of and bring
Nice.
it to the factory. I mean, it's really, really detailed as far as where we get this stuff and how we source it, and what is actually going into the product is even by European standards of such high quality that it's almost undeniable once you taste it, once you know what's going on with it. Like every single person we have had a tasting with has wanted more.
Nice. That's cool, man. I love that stuff. So how big of a team do you guys have, stateside and in Italy?
So we have a team of 6 here stateside. Some of those are kind of, they're not necessarily employees. They're employees of my freight brokerage that run the supply chain type of stuff and stuff like that. We also have a food service company that we're partnered with as an advisor and helping us navigate some of the contract stuff with their experience. And then we have 2 very well-known chefs that are either partners in the company or help us with the cooking and help plug us and stuff. One of which is also an Apex member, Josh Champion, and the other of which is the personal chef for Anthony Davis. His name is Will Jones, and lives on the West Coast out there. So we kind of cut up the responsibilities within the United States, more focused on logistics and sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then Roberto in Italy has a team of 3. And then we have 6 pretty large vendors, ranging from the farm to the factory to the packaging and stuff like that he controls over there to keep us running on the Italian side.
Nice. Very cool. I would say that's a pretty unique operation.
It's a lot of fun, man. And it's, got its challenges, but it's also super rewarding to again, see people enjoy it and get excited about it.
Now, are you guys open on the consumer side? Like if somebody's watching this, right? Because I guarantee you someone's going to want to say, hey, where can I get my hands on this? Or reach out to you. Like, 1, thank you for coming on, but 2, where can they find you? And then where can they order some of these pastas?
Yeah. So we are not open for the consumer side just yet, but that's what we're doing today is filming for the website. We should have a website up here in a couple weeks that you can get product information and make purchases and all that kind of stuff on. As far as me, the easiest way to reach me really is my Instagram. It's Lane Hero Boss, LaneHeroBoss. And then and my email is info@lanehero.net. That's actually one of my other companies, but I currently use that for our Italian hemp food stuff until we get that website launched and everything here. Sometime in August for sure we'll have it launched.
Do you have the domain?
Yep, ItalianHempFoods.com is what the website will be. So we've got all that secured. Just have to, put something on it. We're very particular about the quality of stuff that we put out because the quality of the product is so high. We feel that we really have to be a steward to the company itself, right, and to our image and to our quality. So,
absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, last thing I want to leave the audience with, if you could give new entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in their first, let's say, 2 or 3 years of business, any pieces of advice, what would that be?
Oh man. number one, you got to take care of your mental health. You know, I know everybody talks about hustle and get out there and work and grind and look, man, I've been that 18-hour a day guy, and I was for almost 14 years, right? And you just get to a certain point where you really got to take care of yourself, or you're not taking care of anybody else or your business or anything for that matter. And then the other thing I would say, and this is something anybody who knows me or has been around me and knows my story especially knows to be true, but just never give up. And because nothing and no one wants to stand against somebody that'll never give up. And that's a David Goggins quote, but I carry that around with me a lot, because if you just don't quit, man, I don't care how big the Goliath is you're in front of, right? They're going to get worried when you get up that 30th or 40th time to throw another punch that, oh shit, maybe this guy can really take me, you know? And it's the same thing in entrepreneurship. If you just keep plugging away at it, you keep hitting the slab is what I call it, you know, you're going to get those results, and you just got to just really stick it out.
That's awesome. Well, hey, Josh, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, look him up. Save that site. It's going to be launching end of August, maybe beginning of August. Who knows?
Yeah. ItalianHempFoods.com.
ItalianHempFoods.com. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.